Hi everyone, welcome to NCFE's fast event for today. We're just waiting for a few more people to arrive and then we'll be starting shortly. Hello everyone and welcome to the fast supporting your delivery journey from start to finish event today. So delighted you've all decided to join us today. We'll go and talk to you about a new product called FAST, which stands for Functional Assessment and Skills Together. And we've got a lineup today of different people to give you an understand what the product is, who NCFE are, and the type of support we can provide with you for functional skills and for skills assessment. The lineup today, we're going to have, we're delighted to have David Gallagher, our Chief Executive of NCFE, doing an introduction to the event. And David will introduce himself shortly. Then from there, we'll go into FAST, what the product is, where we'll introduce the product and different parts of the service that we provide. From then, we'll move on to Luke Corden, the new business deals executive, to show you the actual platform, go through the different support that we have for English and maths. And then we'll hand over to Charmaine Phelps, who will talk about the provider development support, the subject specialist support that you can expect from NCFE. From then, we'll take the FAST challenge, which I'll say more about it near at a time, and we'll then be able to take on any questions and answers, any questions that come through. So thank you again for joining, and without further ado, I'll hand over to David Gallagher.
Okay, brilliant. Thanks, David. And just really great to see so many people joining for this session. So thank you, internal colleagues and our customers for hopping on. So I just wanted to pop in, firstly, to say hello to everyone, but just to provide a brief introduction and set some of the context for this session. So for those of you that don't know, NCFE was actually born in 1848, and right at the beginning of our organisation, it was always about ensuring that no learners are left behind. And throughout that time, we played a pivotal role in ensuring that those needs are met for people to access core skills that they require to improve from a social mobility perspective in particular. And there's always been one particular poignant aspect of our history that stood out for me. Very early on in our organisation's history, we were really heavily involved in supporting mining communities in the northeast to reskill as the labour market was changing. And some of those skills were absolutely about numeracy and literacy. So this is literally going back decades, over 100 years, in fact, where we worked with those coal industry workers to skill them to have hopefully better lives, better career prospects. And then throughout the decades, we've continued to support numeracy and literacy in the sector. And that's been right at the core of everything that we've done, alongside the range of vocational and technical qualifications, which I'm sure you're very well aware of. In 2005, we were looking at innovative ways to improve learning, and we acquired a business called 4Skills, which went on to be called Skills Forward, and then more recently has rolled into NCFE. And that was a initial and diagnostic assessment platform for English, maths and ICT. And that platform is now known as Skills Assessment, so it's a core part of our offer at NCFE, and has also evolved into being an e-learning platform, continuing to offer initial and diagnostic assessments, and through that we support hundreds of thousands of learners every year. In 2012, again, many of you will know this and know this far better than me, the government made major changes to the way English, maths and ICT were to be delivered, moving away from key skills qualifications. from that format and launching the new functional skills qualifications. At that time, NCFE was central to those developments and took part in a pilot programme. I imagine working with many of the centres here actually, as we launched new qualifications in that year, demonstrating that ongoing commitment to literacy, numeracy, and of course ICT, and always looking to challenge older ways of working with new and innovative approaches. So those new qualifications set out to offer transferable skills to learners and have played a central role in apprenticeship programmes. And again, many of you will know that far better than me, ensuring all apprentices had those core skills for their learning, those core skills for their occupation, and of course, those crucially important skills for life more broadly. And then after 7 years, the Department for Education recognised that further reform was required of those functional skills qualifications to ensure that they were robust and they were comparable to other qualifications in the market, notably GCSEs, of course. So we worked with the Department for Education and Ofqual to ensure the sector's view, so many of your views were listened to, that they were heard and featured in that set of reforms. And those qualifications, as again you will know, went live in 2019. That was just before a global pandemic, if that is, still in our minds and our memories. So the birth of those new qualifications came at a very challenging time where there was major disruption in the sector that we've all lived through together. And we've learned a lot through that period, more rapid learning, I suppose, in terms of what works, what doesn't work, and how the system needs to change to be fit for now and for the future. And so we have really taken a lot of that learning to inform exactly this conversation today and these products that we are going to talk you through. So through that time, we've looked at developing deeper subject specialist expertise and support for our centres. We've looked at innovative ways to provide remote invigilation to really underpin and support quality of teaching and learning, and then also developing out new resources in that space too. So last few words from me, and then I'll pass you back to the team for the session. We absolutely, continue to believe, as we always have, that English and math skills are fundamental foundational blocks for all individuals to build successful futures, whether that is just simply through learning, whether it's through career, or whether it's through life more broadly. And English and math skills are key to attainment for apprenticeships, as we all know, and of course central to Ofsted as well in terms of how they view the quality of teaching and learning more broadly. And that's why, as part of our commitment to shaping smarter learning solutions for the sector, we're really delighted to announce the launch of our new brand, the FAST product, which of course is all around English and maths. And FAST brings together all of the resources that improve attainment and retention, while hopefully, providing significant savings to providers in what are increasingly challenging economic times. We know that funding is tight, delivery is more costly, so we're looking to provide really cost-effective solutions into our customers that also improve the quality and underpin the quality of what you deliver to your learners. So we hope you enjoy the event today and look forward to working with you, or continuing to work with you in the near future. And thank you again for taking the time to join us this afternoon. Thanks, David. I'll hand back to you if that's okay. You're just on mute, David.
2022 and still making that mistake. Thank you, David. Much appreciated. Okay, so that's the lineup. First off, we're going to talk about FAST products. So we know that English maths are important. David alluded to there in his introduction that, these qualifications are proven to improve learner attainment in vocational areas. Employers also list them as key skills to improve productivity in the workplace. They are the only subject named by Ofsted in the AIF handbook. And math and English is in everything that we do on an everyday basis. We know this as a sector and as one organisation, and so rather than just have that core qualification, we've got different products that can improve attainment, that can improve retention. We decided with FAST as an opportunity, rather than sell 3 products separately, that would bring them together, improve attainment, and offer a cost saving, bring together one product, one solution for one price. So FAST is essentially made up of these three separate areas. First off is one assessment and skills builder. That offers market-leading single assessment. It provides a platform that helps retention and qualification achievement rates. And it also supports you in tracking that learner progression. Very important from an Ofsted point of view, showing that starting point of the journey through to how much progression they can make. We'll then add, if you like, a cake recipe. We've got the middle bit, we've got the functional skills qualification that already provide market-leading 6-day result turnaround times. Provides that subject specialist support that we know again has improved centre attainment. And it's also fully flexible for all your learner needs and delivery needs. And last but not least, we'll provide the teaching and learn resource as well. So with that, we'll have a full suite of resources for both tutors and for learners. These resources are suitable for face-to-face, for remote delivery or independent learning, and they're all available on one platform for one price. So moving on to the next slide, we'll look at this in a bit more detail what these offer. So one assessment, for those that aren't aware, one assessment is a single English and math assessment that takes on average around 30 minutes. So whereas traditionally you would have a separate English and a separate math assessment, that'll take about 25 minutes each. You can save almost half the time in a single assessment and get the same reliable and accurate results from this assessment. It can also be set for GCSE and functional skills. So if you have a GCSE cohort alongside your functional skills, you can set the GCSE that will bring the learner working towards level out from grade ungraded all the way up to grade 9, or a functional skills from entry level 1 through to level 2. And the benefit of having English and math in one single assessment, you might have a learner that just needs to do initial assessment in maths. What this allows you is recognising that there may be some skills gaps in their English learning, even though they might have the qualification, perhaps the lack of bit of reading ability, which is crucial for any learner in the math assessment. You can then do that ad hoc work with the learner on the English outside of the classroom, do it online, a bit of extra support, and it'll help improve their maths experience. So it's a great tool to do, and it's also for those learners that on having to do regular English and maths session because they've already got the qualification. You can do this, you can build up an individual skills plan, and you can work outside of your lesson time, so you don't have to put it on your timetable. Which brings with the skills builder and that individual skills plan. So every learner that sits that initial assessment, does the diagnostic, will get an individual skills plan tailored to their own learner journey, what they need, rather than just doing a sweep of everything and capturing all. This will identify the skills gap that learner has, and will signpost them to learn resources that will supply the knowledge that they need to upskill in that area and progress through that qualification. Those independent learning resources are available for GCSE and functional skills, and they'll cover both areas. And we'll also provide a distant travel assessment, so where you can sit that first assessment to find out where the learner starting point is. As you work through those resources, you're progressing that learner, you can then sit another distant travel assessment to show literally how much distance has been travelled on that journey. Quality dashboard comes in as well. Quality dashboard is a Ofsted level report analysis that will provide detailed deep dives into your learner journey. It's supplied at the learner level, tutor level, and centre level. So from just identifying if a learner's that initial assessment or diagnostic, whether they've completed that learning resource, how far they've progressed at the learner level, you can get all that. But you can also get it from a tutor level as well. So you could have a few tutors who've all got cohorts of 20 learners. You can see where they are on their progression path. So it might be that tutor A, all 20 learners have had their initial assessment. Tutor C, none of their learners have. What's happened in tutor C? Are they not engaging with the system? Do they need some more support? It helps you manage good quality performance. And you can set these reports as well on a daily, weekly, monthly or annual basis, and when you need it, it'll drop in your inbox and allocate that report. Teaching and learn resources, like I said before, we've got a complete suite of teaching resources from entry level 1 to level 2. These are suitable for all forms of learning, from face-to-face teaching, from remote teaching. And if you've got a level 2 learner, for instance, who's more than capable, they can self-teach using these resources. They provide a session plan, they provide a workbook, they provide a PowerPoint for the lesson and activities and videos, and it allows you to standardize that teaching across the centre. Workbooks in particular are very useful, and Charmaine will touch on these later. And it really like shows you, refreshes that retention of knowledge again, what often requires how are you ensuring that learner retention of knowledge. You refresh their knowledge of subject content statement, and then they'll give them a sample assessment that allows them to, you know, for math friends example, they might know how to do probability, but they don't understand probability as part of the problem solving question. It'll help them understand where probability will fit into that type of question. And along with that, you get to provide a development support that supports your teachers. You can engage with these resources or your own resources and understand best practice and teaching strategies. In terms of functional skills qualification itself, we provide results in 6 working days. That's available for our on-demand, online and paper-based assessment, and also we offer a remote invigilation assessment as well that produces results in 6 working days. Just to be clear, the remote invigilation will be a separate charge outside of FAST simply because of the way it's set up. With the qualification, you get 1 free reset for each assessment. And you've got that paper-based and online sample assessment at all levels. So at level 1 and level 2 for external assessment, and we've got a minimum of 5 at each level. So you've got lots of opportunity to understand those past papers experience. On the next slide. So why FAST? Why would you be interested? Obviously, what we've talked about there is what you get. That's all part 1 package. But where with prices as well, you will only pay for FAST through a functional skills registration. That will then give you access to the skills assessment platform, to the teach and learn resources to use. How we do it, the more you register for functional skills, the more you access. And what it does, it provides initial assessment to all learners who need it, including your GCSE learners, regardless of their need to do functional skills. So just because you register your learner to functional skills, it does not mean that you've got to use them functional skills learners on the licenses that we provide for the product. You can use them for GCSE learners as well. By combining registration and initial assessment costs, the more learners you register, the bigger the saving. And it allows you to have full clarity of your annual cost without the need to top up throughout the year. So normally your initial assessment provider, you'll have a set amount of credits. What this allows you is like you don't have to worry about topping up during the year. You will have supply to that licenses throughout the year. Next slide. With FAST as well, what often we talked on before, the more learners you register, the bigger the saving you do. And we understand sometimes switching over from one AO to another can be daunting. We've got that onboard support at an exam level, at a tutor level, at an IQA level. And we've also got administration level. So we've got a product coordinator who will work with you on that switching to make it as painless and seamless as possible. They will identify the right product for you to be on. They will take care of the completion of the paperwork. They will manage any contract process, and they will activate the product. Likewise, for onboarding, they will ensure that you've got access to all the onboarding you need. And rather than being sent off to different teams to organise your own onboarding time, they will coordinate that with our internal team. So you are only dealing with one person at one time. That allows you to have that stress-free process and painless and any administration is taken care by the product coordinator. And then once you're up and running, it transitions over to your normal account management, where you've got account manager that'll understand and take care of your everyday needs. Next slide. So this is the last slide for me for now. I'll come back in a bit, but before I hand over to Luke, just really what FAST is all about. FAST saving is saving your time for initial assessment. You can save up to half a time per learner for your initial assessment. If you've got 100 learners, potentially you can save 50 hours. That's a resource saving as well. In terms of fast results, you get that fast initial assessment results, you get the fast results in 6 days for your functional skills qualification. You've got that fast support. NCFE pride ourselves on our support of our customers. You know, you'll have direct contact with the subject specialist for your tutors. You'll have exam support by email, by phone, by live web chat. For skills assessment, you'll have a designated point of contact who's there to support you and support your training needs and identify any support that they can provide. It allows you to make them fast decisions and engage your learners and keep learners on program without having to wait around. So that's the top level provision of what the product looked like. I'm now going to hand you over to Luke, who's going to take over that skills assessment platform and just give you the more detail into what that looks like. Over to you, Luke.
Fantastic. Thank you for that, David. So yeah, looking at the skills assessment platform, as has already been mentioned, it is a platform where your learners can access assessments and resources to help upskill them. Now, what you can see on the screen is everything you are entitled to whilst using the skills assessment platforms. We have a number of different sort of things there for English and for maths. You know, we've got the functional skills and the GCSE available. And then we've already touched on one assessment. So one assessment is a 30-minute combined initial assessment that can be ran solely for functional skills or incorporate functional skills and GCSE within there. Now you have access to all of this as a potential fast customer, so you can assign what is relevant to the individual accounts, and they'll be able to work through those assessments seamlessly when created on the site. Could I have the next slide, please? So getting the results from the assessment, that is an important thing. So on the left-hand side, what we can see is the initial assessment result that we'd potentially get from that one assessment, or alternatively, if you would go down the route of doing maths and English separately, it will look the same for the initial assessment. So you get a spiky profile result showing all of the sections that go together to make your subject, and you get the learners working towards level in relation to each of those sections. So you get a really comprehensive view of where the learners' strong points are and where their not so strong points are. And on the right hand side, what we can see is the diagnostic result. Now the diagnostic goes even further in depth, and it actually looks at the criteria within a particular topic, and then again within a particular subject, and you get the learner's skill in relation to that criteria. Now, as you can see, we have a RAG status chart that shows you exactly where the learner is proficient and where they perhaps need to upskill. So everything that we see that is red and yellow is going to be directly translated into the learner's ISP. So the ISP is a learner's individual skills plan, meaning no two learner is going to get the same set of resources. They're going to be bespoke to them, and they're going to be able to work on those particular parts where they need to upskill. And hopefully, once you reassess your learners 2 or 3 times, you'll see a lot more green on that REG status graph. Could I get the next slide? So the actual individual skills plan itself looks a little bit like this for the learner. They can see where they perhaps have some embedded knowledge that they've brought through from that diagnostic. They can see the progress they've made whilst working on their individual skills plan. And they're able to see all of the criteria that they're expected to meet within that topic, as well as follow targets that may have been set by their tutor. So despite the platform being quite learner-led in the sense that they do their assessments and they work on their resources, the tutors do have a little bit of control on their learners' account and can provide those targets as a way of supporting them and pushing them in the right direction as to what they need to be working on. It's really simple for the learner to access those resources. You can see there's a continue button on the right hand side of the image on the screen. If they click into that, they're launched into a learning resource that is going to teach them about a particular topic at a particular level. Now that could be a comprehensive video or worksheet for them to read through, but each bit finishes up with a summative test, and if they score 70% or above in that summative test, it will mean they have gained some proficiency, and you'll be able to see that progress on the individual skills plan. So again, that bit in there is nice and colour coordinated. So from a tutor point of view, you can really see where a learner started at and the progress they've made whilst working on that skills plan. Could I have the next slide? Fantastic. Now, as well as all of that for the learner, your tutors also have some teaching resources available on the platform. So within a tutor account, they can go and access a number of documents such as learning plans or teaching resources for all topics and all levels at functional skills and at GCSE. So that is available. You'll be able to go into that. And as you can see, we are able to print those documents, download the PDFs that we have available, and you can use them in an alternative setting rather than it all being online. So you do have access to that as part of FAST as well, and you'll be able to use that however you see fit. Can I have the next slide, please? Fantastic. And then the final component that we're going to talk about today has already been touched on. That is the quality dashboard. Now, the quality dashboard has got a number of features, but its main purpose is to show you the proficiency that your learner has gained whilst working on the platform, and it does that in a number of different ways. So originally, what you can see is the amount of initial assessments and diagnostics that have been taken for English and maths. You can go deeper into those pie charts that we see, and we can actually identify the levels that our learners are working at. And we can specify that whether we want to see the whole organisation, just a particular cohort of learners. We're able to see exactly where their starting points were. And then the other features of the quality dashboard allow you to see the progress they've made whilst working on the individual skills plan, simultaneously with a first diagnostic result and a second diagnostic result. So you really can see how your learner has improved, where they have upskilled themselves, and that then transpires in the results, which you can compare side by side. The final part of the quality dashboard is the ISP progress. So this is a great way to evidence how you are upskilling your learners. It will show you the total number of resources that are assigned and the total number that have been completed. So over a year, you'll be able to evidence exactly how much resource has been completed by your learners. And as well as all of this information being available, each component of the quality dashboard has an ability to export an Excel document. So straight away from one click, you're able to take that information off the platform and save it so you have a copy of that information. Now that's just a brief run through of the skills assessment platform. As well as that, there are options such as customization to reflect your organization, and you've got that support from the customer service team there as well. Now that is everything from me. So I believe I'm going to pass back over to David now.
Thanks, Luke. Thanks for that. And, you know, with that, if you're interested in seeing more, obviously we can arrange demonstrations afterwards. We'll be sending out an email with the slide, with the recording, and giving the opportunity to express some interest in the product. So we are aware that you may want to see a demonstration, and that'll be fine. Just before I hand over to Charmaine, there's a couple of questions in the question and answer box. So one of them asking if FAST means we'll no longer be able to access the individual components. So I'm assuming by that you mean the individual products such as skills assessment, functional skills, etc. All these you'll still be able to buy separately. You know, you'll still be able to have your contract with skills assessment. You'll still be able to buy teaching and learning resources separately. It just bringing everything together and giving you a much better value for money by having it all together. But if you still want to just continue with Skills Builder, that's absolutely fine. There's no pressure to change there. It's just try and make life easier by putting it all in one place for yourselves. Obviously a much cheaper price, which I'll cover later. Okay, over to you, Charmaine, on the resources side.
Thank you. So we'll turn first of all to the support that you can expect from the provider development team. So my name is Charmaine Phelps, and it's my role as a provider development officer specialising in maths, functional skills maths, to support you with your planning, delivery and preparation for assessments for the NCFE functional skills qualifications. So as you begin your provider development journey with NCFE, what we do is, as you first gain approval, we would have an induction consultation with you. We will then have conduct a midpoint consultation just to check on your delivery, see how you're getting on, see what further questions you have, and then we will do the final review, which will give you the opportunity to feedback or ask any questions around the assessments. We'll learn about your centre and any specific support needs, and then we will make sure that we cover pre-assessment preparation, signposting to sample papers, key quality assurance processes, signposting to chief examiner reports, and also how to access teaching and learning resources. And in addition to our onboarding process, we'll also support you with an ongoing programme of CPD, looking at topical and relevant areas of interests. We'll share our upcoming CPD with you shortly, but we tend to, myself and Patricia, so I have a maths specialism, Patricia has an English specialism, and we tend to do one CPD session per month that's free for you to register for. So this page is hyperlinked to our functional skills delivery support page, and from this particular page on the NCFE website, you can navigate to each individual qualification page where you'll find various resources and paper-based past papers, but also to the side you'll see that you've got quick links where you'll find updates, pass rates, training and events, and other useful information. In the teaching material section of each qualification page, we have schemes of work for every functional skills level in English and maths. These are available for use by centres and contain a coherent teaching order. You can use these alongside internal assessment systems to inform the order of teaching within individual skills plans, and they can also be quite useful if you're embedding maths and English within a vocational setting. Just give a bit of an overview. And on this slide, we've got a little bit of a sample of our teacher delivery packs. The teacher delivery packs for English and maths contain all areas of the coverage and range for functional skills. You get interactive presentation resources that include video resources and quizzes. There's worksheets that contain summaries and questions that have been specifically designed in line with NCFE questioning techniques. There's an individual session or lesson plan that accompanies each lesson topic, and every lesson has a knowledge checker. And everything's referenced to the DFE subject content statement. So if a learner's diagnostic comes back stating an area of weakness, or the automated feedback highlights a particular area, then these resources will all map across. You can download a preview of each of these packs from the teaching materials tab of each maths and English functional skills qualification page. And it's these teacher delivery packs that are included as part of the FAST product. And also included are the workbooks. The workbooks have been developed independently from the classroom packs, and they're broken down by each subject content statement. For each statement, there's a comprehensive explanation of subject content statement with tips, quick checks and questions, with the solutions there to help learners comprehend. Each chapter ends with questions to test understanding, and the answers are combined into the workbook as well. Everything in the workbook is brand new compared to the classroom packs, as they were not developed by the same developer. They were purposely kept apart, so any overlap is purely coincidental. And the workbook formats are digital copies, they're PDFs, so they're really useful if you've got like roll-on, roll-off delivery where you may have learners at different starting points and at different levels in the same session, then they can be working through the workbooks. Other resources that we've got standardization resources for all of your entry levels, English, reading, entry level writing and maths, along with the level 1 SLC, speaking, listening and communicating. These are available on QualHub. They're broken down into each entry level and by component and found on each of the qualification pages. On each qualification page, we also have a free glossary of terms that's available for all levels. For each entry level, we also have easy to use word lists for spelling and reading. They're taken from the DFE subject content document and have been made into a more eye-catching document, and they're available in the teaching material section of QualHub. We have learner checklists for each level of maths. These can be downloaded for free, and you can use them with your learners to identify the areas learners may need further teaching to feel fully confident before their assessment. And we've also collated past questions for level 1 and level 2 maths by topic that you may like to use at the end of a topic. So to find these, you would simply go to the level 1 or level 2 maths functional skills qualification page, select assessment materials, and then you can download the questions, which will download as a folder of Word documents. And then when you've got that folder of Word documents and you can see they're broken down into the different topics, it states at the beginning the specific 3 papers that the questions come from. So it means that you're still left with past assessment papers that your learners have not seen that you can use for mocks, for timed assessments. So the subject content statement is also given within these documents. And although some questions do assess other content, which you would expect, a lot of questions are interleaving, particularly with maths. Some of the questions also have some additional wording added, just so that the questions make sense outside of the contextualized activity that they come from. But you can use those. We also have online practice assessment papers and the ability to practice using the on-screen maths tools such as the protractor and graphs. So you can set up a practice paper through the secure client Surpass that you will have on the specific devices that your learners would sit on-screen assessments on, or you can access past papers from any device through QualHub simply by downloading the Surpass viewer, which does work best in Chrome. So from this page, it is hyperlinked on the slides. You can select level 1 and 2 on-screen samples and past papers for maths and English, as well as the on-screen maths tools. And here you can see the different maths tools that learners can practice with before they sit their live assessments. We would strongly advise that all learners have time using this demo before they sit their maths assessments. We have Padlets that we've put together for English and maths that we're constantly adding bits and bobs to. We've put all of the NCFE resources and support all housed together on the Padlet, but we've also put together some external third-party links to various different resource sites that you may find helpful. But we do have to say, as with any external third-party links, that we've shared on the Padlet, they are not NCFE endorsed, but we've used them and many of our providers have used them, so you may also find them helpful. On this slide, you'll see our upcoming CPD events for functional skills, maths and English. You've got the links there. They're all available for free. You've also got a link there to our training and events page where all of our training and events, including our onboarding webinars, are held, and our intensive one-day onboarding sessions as well. And we also, once we do our CPD sessions, we then pop a recording of that up onto our YouTube playlist, and you're welcome to access that at any time. We have drop-in clinics as well that we've set up. So anytime that you would like to come along, if you've got a question, and in general, you can contact us by email and we'll answer any questions. But if there's something that it may be useful for us to show you, because these drop-in clinics are held on Teams, if it's something that you might want to us to show you, then you can come along to the drop-in clinic, ask any questions if there's something that you're finding a particular challenge, or there's some advice that you would like, and we'll be happy to answer. We are also facilitating termly virtual meetups, and these are to support you with your delivery and allow you to share best practice from your own experience with English, maths and digital skills. So these networks are an opportunity to network with other providers. So we use breakout rooms and we use Teams, so you actually get the chance to see and hear and speak to one another. You can share resources and ideas to improve learner achievement across all 3 subjects, and you can follow us on social media for more information, or feel free to drop me an email. I'll be happy to send information. I think this is, yeah, so we've got this coming up on social media at the moment. Thank you very much. The details for myself and Patricia, who sadly she's just not very well today, otherwise she'd have been here herself. So myself and Patricia are here for maths and English, and then Rachel looks after everything related to ICT and digital. But I'll hand back to David now. Thank you.
Lovely, thanks Charmaine, and I can't recommend that team enough. The work Charmaine and Patricia do particularly are fantastic. We actually did a bit of research with 60 centres, and we found over a 12-month period your learners were likely to increase their attainment by up to 5% by those centres that engage with that team, such as the quality of the support that you get from them. So, you know, it's a really valuable service. It's do a great bit of insight, and those teach, share and transform sessions as well. They're open up for anyone, you know, it's not a link to fast, it's open up for regarding what qualification you teach, what sector you work in, what award organisation you're linked to. It's all about improving teaching in the English and math and digital skills area by coming together, sharing the best practice and sharing new teaching strategies and ideas. And really what we want to do is grow organically, where people are coming up and doing session. It's not just an NCFE led thing, so do get involved if you can. It's a great little initiative. But moving on, we're going to look at taking the fast challenge now. So we talked about the product, we talked about skills assessment, we talked about the wonderful support that you get. Now let's look at the numbers, and I will say, you know, we've got a lot of support there that's going to improve retention, improve achievement. We've also got a promise that we'll pretty much think we're going to save you some money. So just on the next slide, I'll show you how FAST works. So we've got 6 bands for FAST. So this is there just to support all kinds of customers. We recognise the big customers, medium-sized customers and small customers. So really what it works is you will commit to a certain band of provide a minimum amount of registration. So for FAST, it's between 0 and 100. Fast 1, you would register 101 to 500 registration for functional skills. Depending on what band you land in, depends on the fee you pay and the number of licenses you get on the platform. What we want to do here is utilise all your functional skills provision from across the centre. And what is key to make it, when we talk about registration, a learner who's registered on English and Maths is classed as 2 registration. So for Fast 0, for example, you might have 100 learners, 100 registrations, sorry, and 50 of those learners are registered on both English and Maths. So you get 50 licenses for them learners. You still have 50 licenses to use on whichever learner you want. You don't even have to use the license on those 50 learners that are registered. You can use them for your GCSE provision, your apprenticeship provision, your adult education provision. It's not linked to the registration. It just gives you access to them, and you would pay £25 per registration for that. Once you get the Fast 3, obviously we've got over 1,001 registration for the qualification. You get unlimited access. So particularly if you're a big organisation, that means that, you know, we know you need to provide a starting point for all learners. That means any learner within your organisation can set initial assessment, have access to the resources, and your teachers can have access to teach and learn resources and track that progression. Doesn't matter if they're doing functional skills or not. That one license equals one learner, and that one learner gets access to everything that Luke showed you right at the beginning of this presentation. So, you know, you get access to all the English and all the math resources. It's not a credit system where you allocate credits here, there and anywhere. It's a license. Once you've got that license, it gives you full access to everything. And so you band it from £25 at Fast 0 through to £17 at Fast 5. And that's looking at what you would pay for initial assessment and what you would pay for registration. So on the next slide, we've just got an example based on real data, you know, called NCFE Training Academy. we've got a calculator where you can put in who you currently worked with, the number of registrations you've got per level, and what you would pay. So this centre here on screen, NCFE Training Academy, we've got 2,200 learners across the various levels. So they currently pay £42,660 just for the qualification. If you add in, they've got initial assessment provider, they've got 8,000 credits and they pay £1.40 a credit. They pay 11,200 for those initial assessment credits. So the combined cost for initial assessment and for functional skills is 53,860. If you move on to FAST, you'll pay 37,400, giving you a saving of over £16,000. Now, obviously, we don't know what number the learners are, so we've got this calculator where you can input the details yourself, and you can try out and work out how much you could potentially save. And what's worth noting as well, particularly with initial assessment on here, you know, they've got 8,000 initial assessments at £1.40. That type of centre there will have unlimited access to skills assessment. So that might be 8,000 initial assessment questions just for the learners that are doing math and English. What about that adult provision? What about the other apprenticeship provision or trainee provision that aren't doing functional skills? You can use those learners, or your GCSE learners, you can use those learners as well, no additional charge. So you're probably saving even more money than that. So we welcome you to get in touch after this event and take the FAST challenge, put in your numbers and just see how much you're going to save on FAST, and you know, have that conversation with them. It's not just about saving money, it's about the retention, it's about time saving. You know, sitting one assessment, you're saving half the time. There was a question there from Paul, I think it was, around why one assessment more expensive than a credit. It's because it combines both English and maths in one. It gives you the diagnostics, so it's giving you something like value with 4 credits, but it's also saving you in time as well. And with FAST, you get that all as part of the price anyway. So, you know, for this centre, they're paying £17 per learner for functional skills registration, but everything gets included in that, including your teaching learning resources, including your one assessment, including your progression check. So it's giving you everything at excellent value. Next slide. So this is an opportunity now for people to ask any questions. Obviously, we'll share the slides and code in the follow-up email, and we're happy to answer any question further. But really happy to see so many people attend today. And if any questions, if you can put them in the Q&A and we'll pick them up. So just looking now, Janet, you've asked, is there any way to see the quality of the resources? We do have the sample of the resources, and we'd be happy to share those resources with you so you can see just what it is you would be getting. Like say,
you can actually self-serve that yourself in terms of the NCFE resources rather than the skills assessment resources. You can just go to the qualification page, click on the teaching materials. Well, providing if you're an NCFE provider, that is already, then you can download a preview. If you're not an NCFE provider already, then obviously yes, we could send them.
Yeah, we'll get them out to you, and like I say, we can do a demonstration on the skills assessment platform and take you through the resources on there as well, so you can check that quality. More than happy to do that. How long do you take to give results? So for functional skills, for online, for paper-based, online and remote invigilation, all results are issued in 6 working days. The only exception to that is when we're introducing new paper into the bank, which we're required to do by our regulator at Ofqual. But what we do with that is we give you the dates when we're going to introduce paper up to 12 months in advance, and we'll give you the exact date when the results will be released, so you can manage and organise just how long your learner will wait for those results to come through. So it's full transparency and give you that side of that. Kirsty question, yes, it's being recorded, and we will send out the recording with an email afterwards. And yes, paper-based and online and for remote invigilation, for all 3 results will be released 6 working days. It's 6 for paper-based, 6 working days from the moment we receive the paper back at our head office. We do offer a yellow label service for those providers that are eligible for that, so that's provided. So that is, and then 5 working days for booking the assessment in advance for paper-based. For online, you can book on the day, and for remote invigilation, you can book 48 hours in advance. Yvonne's asking, are you an actual FS exam provider as well? Yep, we're an awarding body and an educational charity. So we provide everything from initial assessment, from the qualifications and exams, as well as all the learning resources as well. How many sittings can we have in a year? In terms of exams, you can have it many. You're not limited to any exams. I'm assuming you're talking about external assessments, so you're not limited to any sittings. They're all on demand. You can sit at any time. So for paper-based, you simply put in the date and time when your learner's sitting. With remote invigilation online assessment, you can put a date in, or you can have the window open for up to 42 days, meaning that learner can sit at any point during them 42 days. In terms of resits, we don't limit on resits. The learner can, what we do recommend is you have proficient time with the learner to do some work, but we don't restrict you on resits either. And Yvonne, question coming in there, are these prices inclusive of actual exam? So those prices that I showed before include exams. Obviously, there's one free resit. If your learner unfortunately hasn't achieved after 2 attempts, then the 3rd attempt there is a cost for resits from that. But that upfront, that registration certification fee for the price that's shown on screen covers your first 2 attempts at all exam. The only thing that sits outside that is remote invigilation, which is a separate cost. So Heather's asking, how long do you have to wait if a student does not pass? There's no limit on the time that you wait. What I said before is we often recommend up to 2 weeks to allow you to do some work with that learner. We do provide with the online and remote invigilation assessment, learner feedback, so highlighting areas where the learner's struggling in. We're looking to introduce some paper-based feedback very soon. You can pay for additional one for that, but there's no restriction. We trust you to act in the learner's best interest on making that decision. Your learners a lot better than us for us to, set a set time. You know when your learner will be ready for that research, so we wouldn't restrict you. Looking at the 2 different slides. Is there any other questions? Anyone got any more questions? If not, on the screen there, timely put on there's a contact email where you can get in touch. There's also a web page. It's got a little video in there, a bit more information, and expressions of interest form on there as well. So if you are interested, fill that form in. Someone will get in touch, and we'll have a more detailed conversation where we can use the fast calculator, and we'll show you just what your centre could save, and we can share any additional information on that. Veronica, do you have an example of exam feedback for learners? We've got them on the website, and Veronica, if you want to get in touch, we can share them direct with you. We will be emailing all information following this event, so you will get that. And just what is the cost outside invigilation? Can a college invigilate themselves? Yes, you can invigilate all your assessments yourself. We've got flexibility where if you do an online assessment or you've got learners in the workplace, the employer can invigilate the assessment. In remote invigilation, there's a different cost for the different assessments which we can share for you outside that, and that's separate to this package. Okay. Does this platform talk to other platforms? For example, OneFile? Yes. Skills assessment can API into a variety of different platforms, and I know OneFile would certainly support that, so we could have that discussion with you. If you want to link up with OneFile, we can make that arrangement. That's not a problem, and there's no extra charge for that as well, just part of the service. Just checking. I think that's just about all. Great, excellent. Well, thanks. That's great to see so many questions. Great to see so many people engage. As always, get in touch if you want to know more. We're more than happy to have conversations with you and show more. There'll be an email following this event, sharing all the information. And I just want to thank my fellow colleagues on the presentation. Charmaine, Luke, thank you very much for taking part, and obviously David Gallagher and Danielle, Marcus and Molly behind the scenes, making everything work. So thanks everyone, and thank you all for watching, and have a great day.